Thank you for tuning into the Natty News Daily podcast. This episode is brought to you in part by our sponsor, Core Nutritionals. You can check out corenutritionals.com for all your supplement needs and use code Natty News Daily at checkout to save 20%. Enjoy the episode.
What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Natty News Daily podcast. As you guys can see, we've got a very, very special guest on and newly crowned WNBF Pro, Mr. Brian DeCosta. Welcome to the podcast, my man.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor for you guys to have me. I've had a lot of peers appear on the podcast that I look up to and whatnot, so I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
Sweet. I'm glad we didn't get lost in the DMs, because I imagine with your follower count, it could be a pretty messy space.
It's mostly just teenage dudes saying, "How do I get abs?"
So you live that meme of like what guys thought was going to happen when they work out to what they actually get when they work out.
Yeah, it's super funny. I think it was C-Bomb or Callum Von Moger. Someone was asked about, or maybe Bradley Martin. I don't know. One of these big dudes just like, what's the ratio of your DMs? And it's like, I feel like every dude, it's like every fitness dude, it's like 90-10 dudes. But like you expected when you started that it would be different. It's just funny.
Yeah. I think you get to that like threshold of muscularity where it's like girls might find you attractive, to then you start to get like big enough where all the boys are just like, bro, you look sick.
Yeah, and all the girls are like, you're a little too big. Or my favorites is a transformation pic, and it's like, I like the before.
you're like I've been doing this for like 20 years and this was all for nothing.
Yeah, the thousands of hours in the gym just like go to waste. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man. Let's back this up a little bit. What's your competitive history? Because I don't think I know your full kind of realm in the bodybuilding space as far as a competitor goes.
Yeah, so I competed first in 2017. So I started lifting senior of high school. That would be 2009. So like 8 years into lifting, I had no real aspirations for competing or anything like that. But I started sharing content in 2016 online, just wanting, at the time I was an accountant, and I was trying to show how to balance a working professional life with making it to the gym, making progress. I thought that wasn't a niche that was really filled at the time online. And then as I started sharing more online and meeting a lot of people in the fitness space, I picked up a couple like sponsors and went to the Arnold and a couple places where I'm getting mixed in with people where like competing is just all the rage.
Yep.
And that really turned me on to it. I was like, I never really considered this, but I don't really have any competitive, like nothing to thirst that competitive drive. So long story short, 2017 entered an NPC men's physique show. At the time I was living in Los Angeles, and this show was in San Diego, and I was on stage at probably like, I want to say low 180s, 185. I had like 20 pounds on every dude on the stage, but I don't think I was lean enough, and I didn't have the men's physique look whatsoever. I was too blocky. I didn't have the poses down right. It was a good experience and introduction into competing, but like I didn't place, I didn't get first call outs or anything like that. Yep. And so yeah, that was that. I took 2 years off, and then in 2019 I did the OCB Tampa Pro put on by my coach Paul Ravella. That was, let me backtrack. I actually did the Muscle Mayhem. That was my second show ever. After 2017 doing men's physique. So Muscle Mayhem in Sacramento 2019. I was really proud of the work I put in for that show. I think I came in like 189, 190 in the heavyweight division, and I managed to win the heavyweights and then make it to the final with amateurs. And then there was I forget his name, this dude from
Marvin,
China.
right? Wasn't it Marvin?
Yes. Yeah. Freaking diced. Posing conditioning was down. Deserved the win 100%. But like that was that motivated me like no other, because I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I can get behind this. Like, this is where I feel like I belong. Screw this men's physique stuff. Like, I like the vibe of tested shows. I like the community aspect. I find I'm not saying it's always the case, but the quality of people I meet that I think could be long-term friends. It was
Yeah.
just such a good experience. I think the Muscle Mayhem is put on very well. So that was show number 2. Fast forward from July 2019 to October 2019, I did the OCB Tampa Pro, put on by Paul Ravella, and I won my pro card in the OCB. I won that overall in Tampa. Pretty small show. And then a couple weeks after that, the Yorton Cup was in Washington, D.C. So I did the Yorton Cup, and that was a big eye opener, just seeing the caliber of physiques that can come out.
Magnum's
Seeing
a big boy, right?
Oh my God, man. Yeah. Some of these dudes that were showing up,
Levi.
like dudes in their 50s, like just shredded to the bone, like striations in places I didn't know you could have. And I'm just like, I was like, I could have used like 4 more weeks of dieting for sure. But nonetheless, it was a good experience. I didn't do any remarkable way in that show, but I was glad just to be on stage with all those dudes, honestly, and see what the next level looks like. So
Yeah.
that was my last show up until last weekend. I had a 4-year hiatus for a variety of reasons, COVID being one of the main ones, as I'm sure you guys can relate, not knowing when shows are going to happen, stuff like that, if it's going to happen, how many people are going to show up. So I feel like this year is the first year where stuff has started to like be like, okay, we're getting back to normal. So
Sweet. So fast forward to now, new WNBF Pro looked unreal up there. Tell me about that prep this year.
yeah, so 4 years off of dieting, just really vacillating between gain phases, um, maintaining, doing some mini cuts. I actually did start a competition prep last year, but then I ended up moving from Los Angeles to Denver, and just with the move, it just proved to be too stressful. So I kind of pulled out of it. So that was a little dieting phase, but I'm really proud of the progress I've made over the last 4 years. I really didn't even realize it until I started dieting down.
Yeah.
This prep started back in, it would be late April that I started with my coach. I've worked with Paul Ravella, Team Pro Physique. He does like 99% bikini girls, but he's just a guy that I've met and become close friends with since I started with content. And being a natty professional himself, like I trust him a lot. I think he really knows his stuff. So started with him, and then yeah, it's just been a different approach this prep. I really did the macro Tetris thing on all prior preps, trying to fit as much shitty food as I could finagle into my macros, and like just not fully committing to the bodybuilding lifestyle. And in reality, just I think a more intelligent way to go about it, at least from a nutritional standpoint, just keeping my meals relatively consistent, stuff that I enjoy, knows agrees with my digestion. I think that's been next level with maintaining performance throughout prep. I would experience big performance drops in my last preps, like push strength would go to shit. All my compounds felt like ass. And don't get me wrong, like they've kind of felt like ass the last month, but that's just the nature of the beast at a certain point.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
the nutrition has had a marked improvement. And then cardio, I used to do moderate to high intensity cardio. And this year has been all low intensity, steady state, effectively just walking around my neighborhood. I'm fortunate in Denver to live in an area that has a lot of streets to walk.
Nice.
So I have a couple favorite routes, and I've just kind of maintained that. It's really kept a good balance of not affecting my training in the gym. So very, very pleased with how this prep has gone. I think it's been the easiest one.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's
Are
interesting.
you tracking steps, or do you have active cardio? Like I'm doing like 20 minutes of walking today. Like how do you have that set up then?
So I do it by my coach. He'll give me a minute count of not by steps. He'll give me minutes, but the way
Hmm.
the way that my brain works, I go by distance. So I use an app called Runkeeper. I used to be a cross country runner. I used to be in like the running world, like in high school. I used to run a lot. So um my brain just works in like, I want to know distance because I could, if I do an hour of cardio, I can like bullshit around and, you know, call that 60 minutes, or I can actually be
Yeah.
like really getting a brisk walk. So I think more at a more objective measure, if you would give me 60 minutes, I would know, okay, if I'm walking at a decent pace, that's like a little north of 3 miles. So I would just be sure like I'm hitting 3.2 or 3.3 miles. So I would go mile based
Mhm.
walking.
Gotcha. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. And I think that's something probably people overlook a little bit too, is like, oh, I got to do 20 minutes of cardio. 20 minutes of cardio at like a 2 speed on the treadmill is not really
Exactly.
anything, right? Like you're trying to expend energy, but there is some standard that you probably should have.
Yeah, and I feel a more objective standard is just like, did you cover a certain distance or not? You
Mhm.
know, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think. Yeah.
Coming back to the nutrition a little bit, two-part question. With the prior preps, when you were doing the macro Tetris, as you say, were you still consistent with the timing of those meals, or was that a little bit more fluctuating as well as like the food choices?
I I have to keep the ego in check enough to say that I think I was a train wreck with diet within
Mhm.
reason. Like I would get close to my macros every day, but man, at the time my lifestyle was much different. I was living in
Mhm.
Los Angeles. I was single. I was really I think just leading a more selfish lifestyle focused on really just business and training, and first and foremost business, and doing everything I can to make money, grow our subscription. So certain times based on my busyness of the day, I would eat only 2 meals in a day. And then the next
Mhm.
day I'd have like four. Then the next day I'd have two. Then the next day eight, not eight, like
Mhm.
six. It
Mhm.
would kind of just be all over the place. I would estimate food out all the time, but we know how accurate that can be. So, at that point I had been, tracking calories on and off for near a decade. So I wasn't an idiot, like, but it just wasn't nearly as honed in as what it could have been.
Mhm. Yeah, that was my assumption, but I wanted to hear that from you before I kind of like answer or ask the second question, just because I found that a lot myself. The people that do the very, very flexible approach, right? Because there's probably a gray area in the middle, are also very flexible with when those meals come. So now that you are much more structured, not only just with the food choice, but with the timing of the meals, have you noticed your hunger has changed with this prep versus last prep? Even when you are, like, I know everyone's going to be hungry at a certain time in prep, but comparatively, where would you say you're at?
A much better spot for sure. Yeah, it's really been a significant difference actually that I didn't really expect. Just so I do 4 meals a day. Maybe I'll throw a snack in there some days, but I'll start my day around 7 a.m. I don't get super hungry in the morning, so I'll wait until 9 or 10 to have my first meal. Um, and then I train around noon at lunch hour, also because I work from home and for myself, so I have the grace to be able to do that, which is super nice.
Mhm.
So and then also I get just crazy hungry at night. I just think in the off season I'm used to eating like my bullshit meals late at night. So I've kind of been conditioned into that, I guess. So I like budgeting like 50% of my calories for after like 5 p.m., honestly.
Mhm.
Um that way I feel I can send myself off to bed easier. Nothing worse. I'm sure you guys can relate with going to bed super hungry. It's damn near
Mhm.
impossible. So yeah, my training schedule vast majority of days has been morning 9 to 10 a.m. eat, then train, come home, eat a meal around 2 or 3, have meal number 3 around, 5 or 6, meal number 4 around 9, and then I'm hitting the
Mhm.
sheets at like 10:30, 11. So
Mhm.
That
it,
last
it's
meal,
been great.
yeah, that last meal like being pretty substantial. It's very similar to what I did last year. I train in the mornings, and I'm like, I train fasted, and I would do kind of that similar approach where I would backload like a lot of my, especially carbs, like later in the night. And that's something, like, I work with Cliff Wilson, and that's something that I would talk to him about, where, you know, when we were getting started, I was like, unless I'm getting up stupid early, which is going to like start to backload into like my sleep quality, which is probably worse than not eating before training. Like training on a shitty sleep versus training fasted, like, give me more sleep and I'll just go into the gym.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he was like, honestly, especially if you're having like that good intake of carbs before you go to bed, like those are going to be like, your glycogen stores are going to be ready to go for the morning. So I would save, if I had like 300 grams of carbs, like I would do like 100 for that last meal, just because, like, I always felt like too, I got a better sleep if I could just, like, I felt like a bear, like stomach full, like you said, hit the sheets and just shut it down, and then kind of get up and go on with my day. And I would do like, you know, one meal during the day that was just protein and veggies, just to like give me that extra freedom at night, because it worked better for me too.
I I really think, man, and I wish, you know, people listening and like wherever people are going to see this, like, and for the beginners, like it, I can't express how important it is to just create some consistency. That's really what's been honed in for me on this prep, just from anecdotal experience. Like, um, it makes a big difference, and you really see how your body operates on expectation, right? So it's like you start creating that expectation and that rhythm.
Yep.
You know, your body's gonna optimize to find like a homeostasis within those conditions, within like, you know, okay, he's eating the same way, you know, how can we find some semblance of normalcy, like mental clarity, performance? So yeah, just the worst thing is to be doing like 2 meals a day, then 6 meals a day. And oh, this time I got busy and didn't eat till 1 p.m. And this day I got up early and ate at 6 a.m. Like, the signals you're sending, your body's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So like,
I find, yeah.
yeah,
I was just gonna say, I find, like, especially on prep, like having your set training time, like you said, like you always went at the same time. So then your body knew, like, okay, I have fuel at this time for this purpose, and then fuel for this purpose. This is my downtime. This is my sleep time. Like on prep, if you can give your body like as little guesswork as possible, it's gonna probably be so much of a smoother process.
and I resisted that when I first started in the competition space, because at least with my coaching business, I really was marketing and trying to show a lifestyle that is sustainable and attractive to the everyday person. So I think subconsciously I was trying to approach my prep in that way, where it's like, I want to show, in retrospect, it kind of doesn't make sense, but it's like, I want to show me, I want to show me doing this extreme thing, but also in a sustainable way that the
Yeah.
average person may find attractive. But at a certain point, it's like, dude, you can't make a super abnormal thing look normal.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, us talking in this niche, like, if it sounds super robotic, it's because it is, and it kind of has to be, for you to get the best results for yourself. Is you kind of have to lay out the roadmap and more or less go on autopilot. And as much as possible, like, can you remove emotion from food? Can you view it as fuel for a period of time, and just operate accordingly? So I think that paradigm shift in my mind of just like, dude, stop trying to show this balance and just like be a bodybuilder for a period of time. That's been
Yeah.
like a big game changer.
Yeah.
It's
I
interesting
love that
too.
line about
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I love that line about removing emotion from food, because that is just something so many people struggle with. And to be a bodybuilder, you absolutely have to. Like, I don't know how many discussions I've had with clients where they're, oh, I got upset, so I ate this, or oh, it's like, oh man, we're bodybuilders. Like, go lift some heavy stuff. I don't know, like go for a walk, like figure something out, but it can't be food if you want to be a competitor. It really just can't.
Yeah, man. And it's, I think a lot of people come up against that when they start on a fat loss journey or working with a coach, is like, man, I didn't realize, and I experienced this personally too, is I didn't realize how much I relied on food for just, catharsis, for like helping myself. Like it's how I actually struggled with bulimia a good bit through college. You know, that's a whole other story. We can get into that. I've made YouTube videos and shit about it, but like I had a unhealthy relationship with food, like, and thank God it's been a decade since I've struggled with that, but food was 100% my cope of like getting 2 degrees and like feeling like I'm super stressed out. And I'm also in this fraternity and have all these things to do. And I have a girlfriend and I have a job and like, and I totally would use it as like escapism, as like a way to like, you know, deal with life stresses. So when someone starts on this journey, kind of detangling that, uncoupling that is like is a huge heavy lift, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for people to hear, man, because I'm sure there's people that look at, you know, your physique or any number of bodybuilders and they're like, man, they're so lucky, or they must be so fortunate that, like, you know, they are fueled with food the way they are, and they're training and everything's just, all their ducks are in a row. And you know, clearly that's not always been the case for you. And I think for probably a lot of people, there's some stuff that's been dealt with behind the scenes that most people don't know. Even, you know, now for you at the highest level as a professional natural bodybuilder, you know, you've got your battles from your journey, right? And I think it's good for people to hear.
Yeah, man. And I think the quality of person I meet that is into bodybuilding, like I think it gets a bad rap online, and especially with natural bodybuilding, it's a lot of good dudes and a lot of good chicks, like a lot of smart people and really introspective people, because it really is, sounds super cliche, but you've got to work on your mind and grow that garden just as much as your physicality. You know, I like listening to podcasts. I like listening to audiobooks, trying to improve myself. I've kind of fallen off that a little bit as I'm 32 now. But I was like eating that shit up constantly, early 20s, mid 20s, just like personal development books, like how do I wire my brain the right way? What is the right way to, you know, view challenges and discipline, and why do I have this food focus? Why do I go to food for coping? Like looking at someone's social media profile or good physique, you wouldn't think this person will be that way, or like go to an introspective level. That you think someone will think, okay, he's on steroids, he's super genetically blessed, he's probably a dumbass, and his life sucks, he's very one-dimensional. But like,
yeah,
in my experience, that's really not the case with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I agree. There's a lot of people, especially with like us here with Natty News, like the networking that we've been able to do, been very fortunate to do, the conversations we've had people with, like the vast majority are how you described, where they're very like intelligent and introspective, and that personal development and self growth stuff, I think, is way more common than the alternative of the generic meathead dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. I think it's a necessary thing. I think it's otherwise too hard. I don't think you can do it.
Yeah. The mental fortitude and like you said, that introspective, like that ability, when every ounce of you is like, I don't know if I can do this, but then another day goes by that you get it done, and then the day goes again, I don't know if I can do this one more goddamn day, and then you get through it. Like that takes some shit that you gotta cultivate.
Man, I listened, I want to say it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I listened to the same Tony Robbins audiobook
Hell yeah.
clip. It was like an hour long, but for my cardio, like every day in a row. Like, and I needed that just to get through my cardio. Like I started it before I started my cardio, and I'm like, all right, this guy's speaking to me now. Like, fuck this, we're going out, we're doing it. Like, just to like get myself out the door, like other, because nothing else was doing it. I was tired, I was hungry, and I was like, fuck this, man. I don't want to do this.
Oh yeah. I've got like 4 or 5 of those cliche like Machiavelli motivational things saved on Spotify, that on prep, when those feelings come in, they're like 9 minutes, but at the end of those 9 minutes, I could go through a brick wall.
Hell yeah.
So let's talk about the most recent showing and you securing that WNBF Pro card, obviously you looked insane. We shared all your photos and it definitely got some excitement on the internet. How was that experience for you?
Absolutely going to get to your question. Am I all messing up on the video here?
Yeah, a little bit. We can hear you though. We were just gonna play it up.
Oh,
like,
good.
no problem. We can still hear you. That's all that matters.
Okay, good. So maybe that works.
Hey, there we go.
So you were asking specifically about this show. It was in Massachusetts, the Monster Mash. And I didn't know what to expect. I initially was gonna, so my goal has been, I told Paul when we started prep in April, I was like, feeling that loss from the Muscle Mayhem in 2019, I wanted to get a pro card. And I was like, Paul, I think I'm at a spot where if we hit this prep the right way, I want to be able to make it to Worlds, WNBF Worlds, and I want to pick a show and go for that pro card. And we picked this one because I was starting prep a little, I think, on the later side. It gave us plenty of time to really take things slower. So coming into this past weekend, Saturday hit the amateur show. There was one other dude in the heavyweight class, which, just gonna be honest, God bless the dude. I don't think he was ready for the show, but good for him for showing up and like giving his absolute best. But there were only two of us, and then in the other classes there were some tough competitors, some freaking dudes that showed up that were actually really awesome to talk to. I forget, there were a couple dudes that are slipping my mind, but yeah, I think we hit the peak week the right way. And we could definitely get into that, but did well on Saturday, won the pro card, and then also had picked this show because if I won my pro card, I could on Saturday, I could compete on Sunday as a pro, which will allow me to compete at Worlds. Yeah. And then Sunday, some very impressive pros showed up. This dude named Oscar, who I had never seen before, but this Dominican 37-year-old dude who had arms that blew my mind. Dude.
That's
okay.
That's who you're talking about, right?
Yes. Wait, his name is Oscar, right?
Well, see, okay. So I was gonna say, so his Instagram is The Professor. And
okay.
I don't know
that dude is ridiculous.
I don't know his name, but he competed with you. And he was like, between the three of us, like, I didn't know what show you were doing, but between the three of us, we were like watching him, who maybe is or is not Oscar. But
yeah,
we were like,
I think he's Oscar.
Okay, so we were like, this guy's gonna clean house and, you know, smash it at Worlds. Then I see stories of you two side by side, and I was like, I want to be there live. This is Clash of the Titans right now. This is sick. But yes, dude, his arms are insane for sure.
Dude, he's insane. He's insane in person, and he's such a nice dude. I was talking to him backstage before we went on. He's a 37-year-old dude, father of 4. His kids were super cute in the audience, like holding signs for him. Like my girlfriend Erin she was like, I'm not gonna lie, like I wanted you to win, but it was so cute seeing his kids cheer. I kind of like, in a way, wanted him to win. I was like, hold on now. But no, he had a couple coaches with him in the pump up room, sitting with him, and he was super low key, like had his hoodie on and everything. Oh yeah, head shaved.
Those are the ones you gotta watch out for.
Dude, I know, because like all the other dudes were like doing their like, you know, pre-show ritual, just like popping gummy bears and chips and like already like, you know, with their shirt off, like because they're super excited, like pumping up for like 45 minutes show. Yeah. I'm kind of just like standing there and waiting. I'm like, okay, like when is this dude gonna start pumping up? And then like sure enough, like his shirt comes off and I'm like, my God damn it. But
man, you watch for the guy with the hoodie and the sunken in cheeks just sitting there, and you're like, that guy's trouble. That guy is gonna give me a hard time.
Yeah. yeah, no, I knew it was going to be tough when we walked backstage, and yeah, I think if I'm gonna go off judge feedback and be as objective as possible, I think I edged him out a little bit on leanness, and
Yep.
I honestly think if that wasn't the case, it would have been a different story. But yeah, so I think he was the biggest competition, followed by a couple dudes literally in their 60s. One guy named, I want to say Keith or Kent, 60 years old,
Kent
owns a
Beerley.
gym.
Kent Beerley.
Kent's a legend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
owns a gym in New Jersey. Super dope
Mhm.
guy. I met him during check-ins. Like, it's so cool that you guys like are deeper in this space, because like I
We're
still
just
feel-
like dropping names left and right.
And then a guy named Marshall. I want to say Marshall, like
Marshall
older
Johnson.
guy.
Marshall Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, shredded.
He's a legend.
Shredded.
Yeah.
he's also a legend.
63 years old.
Insane,
Like,
right?
seeing them backstage, I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, this Natty game is a marathon, like, for sure. And
Mhm.
I love it, because it's like, dude, we can do this for decades. But
Mhm.
but they showed up at their best. I don't know what their prior bests are in prior decades, but they were looking amazing, and they ended up taking third and fourth. Marshall ended up getting a posing award for his routine, which was great. It was just it was a great show. It was a great show, and I was super honored to win the overall of that pro show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, that speaks to obviously the quality of you, right? When you just dropped three names that the three of us are like, well, yeah, they're incredible, and you took the overall, right? Like, it's not just some, you mentioned earlier, like that OCB show or whatever might not have been super competitive. That WNBF lineup, while maybe not a class of 15, 4 or 5 of you up there are all going to win overalls at a lot of other shows and are there together. And for you to take that obviously speaks to your caliber. So Worlds is now the plan. Yeah.
Worlds is the plan. Have everything booked up. Staying at an Airbnb, showing up on Friday. Check-ins on Friday, really laying low on Saturday, and then show on Sunday. So I've been looking at the guys, so at least some of the guys that are competing. I don't know like how to find who's showing up. I know Sam Okinola, who's a buddy of mine, is going to be there. I've never met Bada before, but I've looked at his profile many times over this competition prep. Every time I'm like, damn.
He's the biggest person you might ever see naturally in your life.
Dude, his legs are ridiculous.
His
Like,
legs are ridiculous.
You betcha. So what weight class would you expect to land in?
Heavyweight. So I weighed in at 199, believe it or not,
Holy frig.
at the Monster Mash.
How tall are you?
Think that 5'9", 5'9.5".
Oh my god.
Large. That's what he is.
That's fucked.
It was, I think I should have been lighter. So I'm trying to come in at like 196. If I can make that work and I don't look too flat. But yeah, that's just a testament to like 2019, I was on stage at 190, I think right at 190, in between 189 and 191, at the Muscle Mayhem. But like, yeah, man, the last 4 years, I've really had my head down, just really loving training, really focusing on training in a more intelligent way, pushing myself a lot, taking compounds more seriously. In retrospect, I wish I started
compound exercises, not compounds.
Yeah, someone's gonna take that clip.
Yeah, someone's gonna clip the shit out of that. Brian DeCosta admits to using compounds.
Screw it. That's the audio clip we're using to get buzz.
To get
We're
views.
taking it.
Hey, do it, man. Hey, any publicity is good publicity.
I love it.
But yeah, I had my expectations at the beginning of this prep. Like, okay, maybe I'll come in at, I don't know, 192, 193. I don't know. We're natty dudes. Like, we need to be realistic. Like, I'm 32. Sure. I'm not freaking 21 anymore. Like, if I have a great off season, if I gain half a pound of muscle, that's freaking amazing. So like, but I don't know. I don't think I was as tight as I could have been, but yeah, I don't know. 199 really surprised me too. I think I could have been a bit tighter, but it worked clearly. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Damn, this is gonna be a good Worlds this year. You, Sam, Bada, like we could drop names all day of Benjamin, Dirk. Like that overall is gonna be nutty.
Mhm.
I know. Yeah, so I definitely think I'll be heavyweight. Is that 185 or 190? I forget. I think it's 185.
I think 185. We could
Yeah,
probably look it up real quick, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think so. I know some shows they'll like shift it based on making the classes more even.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But are you like obviously it's your first Worlds and we all want to go win. Are you like a placing in mind, anything like that, or just kind of going in there with your fist swinging and seeing where you land?
I'm more so on the actually not really fist swinging, dude. To be honest, man, and this sounds so cliche, but like I really, really I love training first and foremost and the lifestyle that just feeling like a savage affords, like in the gym, being at a healthy body fat percentage and growing. I enjoy so many aspects of prep. However, it's definitely not my favorite. Like just how you feel. Like people, you got to understand, like being, sub 8% body fat, it's not like a fairy tale whatsoever. Like it's
That's
freaking tough.
atrocious.
It's atrocious. And at this point, it's like I just want to get up there, bring my best, and make myself proud and let the chips fall where they may. I'm at the end of the day, like when I lay my head to bed at night, like I go through what I had to do for the day. Did I make myself proud, like with work, with relationships? Did I make myself proud with the gym? And 9 times out of 10, I'm saying yes to that with the gym over the last several years. So like I have a level of confidence with the work that I've put in since my last competition season and during this competition prep. And I think, you know, I'll be honest, I want to win. Like I definitely want to win. Why is anyone else,
For
any
sure.
other guy showing up to
Mhm.
go? Um, is that realistic? I don't know. I think, I'll have a better idea when I'm seeing the dudes backstage, but like the way I operate is going to be the same regardless. So
Yep. No, it's
yeah,
awesome.
I want to just meet good dudes. Also, I want to see the dudes in the space. So when I compete in 2 years from now or 3 years from now, I can be better equipped. You know,
Yeah.
it's a journey.
Yeah, man. No, that's awesome. And that kind of goes back to earlier conversations about the quality of people you meet in the sport, right? Like the guys that go in there, the guys like yourself that are like, obviously I want to go win, but I want to meet cool people. I want to network. I want to build friends for life. You know what I mean? Like there will be times in the future when we cross paths with you at a show and it's like, dude, how you been? It's been a while. Let's
Absolutely.
get on the podcast again. Like those are what I think for me especially, and I'm sure James and Dan can attest to this, like that's what bodybuilding has brought me more than anything is
Mhm.
those connections with people globally, which is mind-blowing.
It's so cool, man. It's so cool to see the rise of natural bodybuilding. Like in the last year, I've just discovered like Keefe West in the UK. This this absolute machine.
You don't got to
Like,
tell us about him. He's a nutty, strong
He's a
gorilla man.
forklift.
He's a
dude,
forklift. Keefe is a forklift.
he's a forklift. Sam Watt also, I think.
Sam's
Um,
incredible.
who else? I just connected with AJ Morris and like what they're doing with like natural bodybuilding. Like
Yep.
it's so cool to see this community growing and like that it is an outlet for dudes who like want to do it. I think in a more responsible way and add a competitive edge into their life. We've self-selected like, hey, we love training. Like we love training. We love building a physique. We love the discipline it requires. We love the person it makes us. But we're not in high school sports anymore or college sports. I wasn't really good enough to do college sports. Like we don't have that we're adults now. So like this is such a great I'm just so
Where do
fortunate.
you make friends as an adult? Well, do natural bodybuilding.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Get oiled, tanned up, and
Yeah.
flex the dudes half naked. Yeah.
I like it.
The only people in the audience are people that have been literally dragged there.
Hey, as long as the boys are cheering on, that's all that matters.
If you know, you know, though.
Awesome, man. Well, I
Absolutely.
think that's a beautiful way to close this out. If people want to follow along, if they want to reach out to you with regards to coaching or anything like that, where do they find you?
I'm sharing primarily on Instagram these days, so just at Brian DeCosta, one word, and coaching all things one-on-one coaching related in our mobile app subscription, just shreddedforlife.com.
Beauty, beauty. All right, people. Well, if you enjoyed this episode with Brian, obviously let us know. Give it a like. Wish him some luck at Worlds this weekend, actually, which is sweet. I'm glad we were able to line this up when we did, because you're just days away from the world stage, my man. We wish you all the luck.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome, people.
Appreciate it,
We'll see
Brian.
you guys in the next one.